Hi there, friends. It's David Ostriker here in Karmiel, beautiful Karmiel. It may be almost spring where you are. It is already summer here. 30 degrees and warmer, nice breezes. Everything is really quite lovely. Today is the 20th of April, which is my birthday on the calendar of the nations. We are heading into the third week of the Omer, which would be 3 times 7 would be the date of the day of the Omer, of the counting tonight, Shabbos Tazria Mitzora, in Galut, outside of Israel, and Parsha Achrei Mot Kiddushim here in Israel. I want to talk a little bit about the Omer and have an understanding of it. The Omer, since we lost our sovereignty over 2,000 years ago, has been a sad time. The time between Pesach and Shavuot, the 49 days. We don't have weddings. We avoid music. We have different signs of mourning connected to it. This is a acceptance of the sadness of the loss of sovereignty of the Jewish people, which was only regained 70 years ago. Just a kind of a little interesting side note. Couldn't resist it to share it with you. I got this as a Facebook. It says the State of Israel was established in the year 5708 on the Hebrew calendar. That would be 1948 calendar of the nation. The 5708th, remember it was 5708 in the Hebrew calendar, the 5708th verse in the Torah comes from Deuteronomy, Devorim, verse 35. And it reads, "He will bring you to the land that belonged to your fathers, and you will take possession of it, and he will make you more prosperous and numerous than your fathers." So that was the verse that corresponded to the year in which Israel was reborn as a modern nation. I don't know what it means, but, you know, there are no coincidences in this world. I want to talk a little bit about where we stand in the Omer and where we stand with our sovereignty. There are different understandings of how the Omer became tragic. The most common one is that Rabbi Akiva's students, 12,000 pairs of students, lacked respect for each other, and as a result they died of a plague which is described in Yevamot 62b in the Talmud. Rabbi Nachman said that this was a plague of croup, of croup coughing. This is the most commonly accepted view. It's a hard one to buy in many ways because, after all, they were all the students of the same Rabbi, Rabbi Akiva, who said the principle of Torah, the central principle of Torah, is to love each other as one loves oneself. So, for them to love each other but not respect each other, it's a longer conversation. But let me read you another view. This is from Jonathan Sacks's, Rabbi Jonathan Sacks's Pesach Machzor, and in it he notes that there is, however, a significantly different version of events given in the famous letter of Rabbi Shera Gaon. The letter, a reply to a series of queries about the events, is our main source for many otherwise obscure events in rabbinic history up to the Gaonic era, and is highly regarded for its accuracy. Rabbi Shera writes, "After the death of Rabbi Yossi ben Kisma, killed by the Romans for teaching Torah in public, Rabbi Akiva handed himself over to the Romans to be killed. Rabbi Hanina ben Tridon was also killed, and after these deaths, wisdom ceased. Rabbi Akiva had raised many disciples, but a decree of persecution, Shmada, was issued against them. Authority then rested on the second disciples of Rabbi Akiva. As the rabbi said, Rabbi Akiva had 12,000 disciples from Galbata to Antipatris, and all of them died between Pesach and Shavuos. The world remained desolate until they came to our masters in the south and taught Torah there. So the point that Rabbi Shira makes is, yes, they died of lack of respect, but in fact, it was lack of respect for the Roman tyrants who caused the streets of Israel to run with blood of patriots. And with that came the end of Jewish sovereignty for 2,000 years. And rightfully we mourn those deaths, and rightfully we remember that loss of sovereignty. But now, in the midst of this mourning, we have 2 days that are national holidays, one to remember the victims and the heroes of the Shoah, one to remember the over 23,000 people who died defending the modern state of Israel, and another more than 3,000 who were murdered in terrorist activities. And on the evening following the second day of remembrance, for the fallen of Israel itself, begins Yom HaAtzmaut. Yom HaAtzmaut is Indepedence Day, and it is across the country one of the most uplifting, exciting, happy moments in the entire Jewish year. Some say Hallel, some don't. Some say it with a bracha, some don't, right? It's all very Jewish. But everywhere you turn, there's flags, there's celebrations, there's recognition of the flip side of this tragedy that I just read you about the loss of sovereignty. Some have said that the first Yom HaZikaron, the one for the fallen, let me go back. Some say that the Yom HaZikaron for the Chayalim, for the soldiers and the victims of terror, is the price we pay for having our state, our own country. Whereas the first Yom HaZikaron, that Remembrance Day for those that were murdered by the Nazi regime, is the price we pay for not having a state. So Israelis know this, and they are very unified and very patriotic and very appreciative to each other and to God for the rebirth of our country. The rabbis in Karmiel have said that you should say Hallel, a celebration, without a bracha, and they say this because they're trying to find a compromise between those who say don't say it and those who say it with a bracha. The cat is complaining behind me. For us, in our first year here, it was very moving. Hatikva, the hope, is a melody and a thought that only the coldest of hearts don't break down and cry when they hear it at this time of year. I'm telling you this because it seems a tremendous conflict in the middle of the Omer to have this tremendous celebration of song and dance, barbecues, flags everywhere. Nobody works. Everybody's in the parks. Everybody's in the countryside. You know, they're just loving each other and loving the fact that they're here in the middle of the Omer. And yet, the Rebbeim of Israel have taken the position that this is worthy of celebration. And I would venture to say that what we are looking at is part of the transitionary period from an Omer of tragedy, of memory of the loss of sovereignty, to an Omer of the celebration of sovereignty reborn. It's not finished. There's no Mashiach here yet. The world still has a lot of darkness in it. But this is a big step. Our 70th celebration of the new state of Israel, its impact on the world, and its impact yet to come. And so the celebration is with a full throat and a full heart. And maybe, just maybe, it won't be long before the Omer, rather than a time of tragedy, will be reflected like the Omer was reflected in the book of Ruth. The joyous time of celebration and happiness, the harvest time between the barley and wheat harvest, when the sun shone on God's land and people harvested the bounty of it. It should come soon. We should pray for it. Shabbat Shalom. Wishing you the best from here in the Galilee.